What's up, everybody? So in today's video I wanted to talk about a new car coming out very shortly, which is of course the new 2020 Toyota Supra. I have a lot of interest in this vehicle because, in all honesty, if it is something that is actually affordable and looks to be a pretty cool car, I'm gonna buy one. I've wanted a Supra forever. The Mark IV came out when I was born, so it was just like an iconic car for me. That and the Skyline were always just really favorite cars of mine. I always liked a lot of what they had to offer. So with the new Supra coming out, of course, there's a lot of hype around it, and I'm one of the 90s kids who is really a big fan of the 90 Supra. So with that said, today's video we're going to talk about what we already know about the car. It's about to be unveiled, so we'll have all the confirmed specs, the confirmed videos and photos and everything like that. Right now we have a lot of really good leaked stuff, videos, images, and a pretty good amount of specs on it. So we're going to see if this car is going to be a flop or if it's actually going to be very successful. If we look at Toyota's track record with sports cars, they haven't really done the best job. The Lexus LFA was a pretty iconic car. I think it was around $350,000 when it came out, and on the used market they're going for like $500,000 now. So that would be, I would consider, a successful vehicle. However, being such an expensive limited production vehicle, that's not a car they made to make money on. That's not a vehicle for the masses. And then we look at the Scion FRS and the LC500 from Lexus. Those are, I guess, the other two cars we can talk about. The Scion FRS was a flop, unfortunately. It just didn't really have the power to back up the price point and what a lot of people wanted in the car. When it first came out, that was actually when I bought my Genesis Coupe. And when the FRS came out, I was pretty pumped about possibly buying that instead of the Genesis. I ended up buying the Genesis Coupe, and like 4 months later, the full FRS got unveiled, and it was like $26,000. I paid 20 grand for my Genesis, and my car had a lot more power and more space, so I couldn't justify spending more money on an FRS when it was way slower. And I've driven the car now, and on the used market for 15 to 17 grand, that's what a really good one is going for. That's a heck of a car. However, it is incredibly slow. I've really never driven a car that looks that good and it's that fun to drive but has no power. So that was where the FRS just kind of let us down in the sense of a new car, because it was just too expensive for something with no acceleration. The Lexus LC500, that's a really cool car. I think they did a great job making it a luxury performance car. But at $100,000, you can get a Nissan GTR, which is way faster than it in anything performance-oriented and has more practicality. And then looking at other competitive cars, a Jaguar F-Type is similar priced, more performance with it. You got the AMG GT, which is a little bit more expensive, but incredibly fast, very luxurious. You also have some slightly used Aston Martins, so it's kind of hard, I think, for Lexus to compete in that $100,000 price range, just because there's more performance and more luxury for similar prices. So with the new Supra, what we know already, they're working with BMW, which I think is pretty smart. A lot of people already hate the new car because it's not going to have a 2JZ engine. If you think about it, taking a 20-year-old engine and redesigning it to meet modern day specifications for emissions and everything like that, that's going to cost a lot of money, and we don't want the Supra to be a $100,000 car. It needs to be like 40 to 60 max. So for them to redesign an old engine, that's just going to cost a lot of money and will be a waste of money and translate to a very expensive car. So pairing with BMW, they already have a really good batch of 6-cylinder turbocharged engines, so it's still going to have the inline 6 like the good Supra that we know and love has, and it's going to have quite a lot of power. I think it's like 350 to 380 they're rating it at. It might also come with a 2-liter 4-cylinder turbo with like 260 horsepower, so they're going to have good engine options for it. Yeah, it's not a 2JZ, but it's an inline 6 with forced induction, so that's going to be something you can modify, you can tune. Full bolt-ons and a tune, you're talking about a 500 horsepower car, and the weight of it is like the FRS. It might be a little bit heavier, so it's not a heavy car like the LC500. A lot of people said they should have used that platform and modified it for the Supra. That's a really heavy car. That's, I think, more work to modify that to be lightweight than just, I guess, work with BMW on the Z4 platform. So they did a lot of cost cutting by working with BMW on this. Only downside, though, is going to be reliability. I'm not the biggest fan of BMW's reliability. From my experience with them, you're going to get a check engine light. So these new Supras probably are going to have some issues down the road. They're going to have check engine lights pop up. Hopefully warranty covers everything, so I'm not too concerned for, first 2 years of owning a brand new one. But I think for price point, I think they did a good job working with BMW on the engines. Transmission, though, that is my biggest complaint. As of now, it's going to have, I guess, a ZF 8-speed automatic, which is a fantastic automatic. As far as any type of automated transmissions go, I think the ZF 8-speed is probably the best. It is very refined for slow speed cruising and driving, but then performance-wise, it is lightning quick and very responsive. But I do think they need to have a manual. While the automatic is going to sell more, unfortunately in America, automatics are what sell. People in this country really don't care about having a manual transmission, so that isn't going to be the money-making platform for the car. So I guess it might be kind of smart they're starting with the automatic just to get the sales going, and then hopefully in 1 year they introduce a 6-speed manual. And I think from what we know, the Z4 is going to have a manual, so it's not like they don't have the resources to throw one in. It's definitely going to be a smaller production versus the automatics, but I think it will come. So hopefully they at least unveil one. That would be fantastic. For me, if it's affordable, I'm probably still going to buy it just because I think it's going to be an awesome sports car. Even with the 8-speed automatic, I think it's still going to be fantastic. And my goal would be to hope that in a year, trade it in for a manual Supra when that comes out, if it comes out. But I think to really get the fans of this car to love it, when it gets completely unveiled, I think they need to unveil it with a manual. That's going to be just a big thing. So the next big thing for the new Supra to be successful or to be a complete flop is going to be pricing. When the FRS came out, when they first talked about it, they were saying it was going to be under $20,000, so $19,999 for a rear-wheel drive manual transmission sports car from Toyota, which means a reliable, affordable, fun-to-drive car. Yeah, it's going to be a little slow, but for 20 grand, that's a heck of a car. Comes out at $26,000 or 25, something like that. With taxes and everything, you're closer to 30 than you are 20. And then with the BRZ, with different release series and yellow series and all that, some of them were like $33,000. It is just not worth it. You can buy a 370Z while it's less practical, way faster, and in my opinion, way more fun to drive. You can get V8 Mustangs for that price, Camaros. So it was just really hard for them to compete on price for the performance that you were getting. So with the Supra, I think we gotta be 40 to 60 grand. If it's in the $100,000 range, again, that's not gonna work at all. The GTR is 100 grand brand new, and this thing dominates supercars all day long. So you can't have a 300 something horsepower sports car competing in that price range. And then if we're in the 60s and above, you know, that's on par with Shelby Mustangs, ZL1 Camaros, Corvettes, and stuff like that, Jaguar F-Types. So you're in the very nice high-performance sports car range. It's not a high-performance sports car, it's a nice sports car. So it's definitely not, it can't be a 60,000 plus car. 40 to 60 makes a lot of sense. I think the fully loaded Z4M is going to be like 65 grand. So we're talking about a BMW, so already the price is more, a convertible is more expensive. So I think 65 grand will be the cap for the two cars in total. So the BMW fully loaded will be up here, but I think the Supra should be maybe start at like 39 and fully loaded or bigger engine, whatever they end up coming out with, maybe in the higher 40s. So if the Supra is in that range, let's just say $45,000 roughly, give or take 5 grand, I think that is going to be a competitive price. It's not going to be so cheap to where, you know, everybody can get their hands on one, but it's not going to be anything out of the question that most people can't afford. I think the average price of a new car is around 40 grand. So if it's spot on with average, I think that's going to be pretty smart. And then with the performance backing it up, and hopefully interior and everything is nice and everything like that, I think that's not going to be a bad price. And then next to talk about is the looks. A lot of people are saying they don't like the look of it. I think it looks really good. When we saw all the camo shots, the different spy shots, driving it around the Nürburgring, and all the different camouflage wraps they did with it, I think we got a really good understanding of what the overall shape is going to look like and just how it's going to look. So we pretty much knew what it was going to look like for a long time. I think just the camouflage shots already, we were able to figure out the design, and a lot of people made good images of what it'll look like. I think it looks good. It's no FT1. The FT1, when that came out, I think that was 2014, they unveiled that. That was incredible. That looked like a Ferrari, 712, but a Toyota. So that was insane. If that was going to be like a $70,000 car, that would have been amazing. It was going to have some hybrid turbocharged drivetrain or something crazy. That would have been insane for them to unveil. Definitely not looking like an FT1. It does look a lot like a Toyota 86, but a little bit bigger. So really the Supra could be the FRS that we always wanted, like a faster version of it. So we're not too sure exactly where it's going to fall as far as like pricing, looks, and performance with the FRS 86 to what we want the Supra to be. I think so far from what we know, they've avoided some of the things that would make it a complete flop. Unfortunately, if we look at Honda with the new NSX, they tried everything from scratch, every bit of technology they could throw into that car they did. It comes out, $250,000 car. You could buy a Lamborghini or a McLaren for that price and have a lot more fun. So they simply did not sell very well brand new. It was a waste of money for Honda. They didn't do too well. On the used market now with like 500 miles, you can buy a car for 150 grand. So the NSX was way too much too soon, and that just made it just a flop. They should have ditched the hybrid stuff, just made it a rear-wheel drive twin turbo engine that looked like it did, and started at 115, that would have been a successful car. And then another thing to look at, and this is my biggest concern with it, is dealer markup. Are they going to be marking these things up $20,000 or $30,000 above MSRP? When the Honda Civic Type R came out, I actually made a video on it saying, 5 overpriced cars. That was my number one on the list because they were going for $60-something thousand, which is like 20 grand over MSRP. And I got roasted by the Honda fanboys by saying it was a ripoff to buy it at $65,000. Well, I was right, honestly. 8 months later, you can buy a used one for 35 grand. So the hype, it died, of course. So with the new Supra, if they are, listing them for 80 grand at the dealers when MSRP is 50 or whatever, that might be one of the drawbacks with the new car coming out. There's a lot of hype on it, and all these hype cars, they sell for crazy money. 6 months later, they're back to normal, and all the people who bought it new are out a lot of money. So we'll see if that happens. But I think that is about everything to talk about with the new Supra. Do you guys think it's going to be a flop or not? I think it looks pretty good. It's no FT1 like I said, but it looks cooler than the 86. I think it's, a bigger version of it, a more upscale version of it. The interior, we haven't seen too much of it completely unveiled. Definitely has a BMW center stack, and then I think it had a digital display. So I think it will be a nice, up-to-date, modern interior. Hopefully they have nice leathers and Alcantaras in it. Hopefully nice bucket seats as well. And then the color for the interior and exterior, I hope they have a lot of different options. I think overall, though, I think they're on the right path from what we know. We're going to have a good automatic, hopefully a manual. They haven't ruled it out, so hopefully they do come out with a manual. Most likely we're going to have 2 engine options, a 4-cylinder turbo and the inline 6 turbo. I think it looks pretty good inside and out. So I don't think it'll be a flop as long as it's not overpriced. That's going to be the biggest thing. So overpriced and manual transmission, those are the biggest things that I think could make or break the new Supra. So comment down below, what do you guys think of it? You guys have seen the videos, the photos, the leaked everything. We've seen a lot of information. Do you think it's going to be a successful car for Toyota? Are they finally going to make the Supra back into the world? Are they going to make a good sports car that actually sells well, brand new, makes them a lot of money, and has a huge fan base that people love it and want to buy it and do everything with it? I hope so. I hope all the best for Toyota. I hope they make a fantastic car, and if it's something affordable, I'm going to buy one this year because I would love to have a Supra and a Skyline together. That would be my dream. Those are my dream cars from when I was a little kid watching Fast and Furious. So I'm pretty excited about the new Supra, and I hope they do not disappoint us. But anyway, that is today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I'd love to hear all of your opinions down in the comments below. Give the video a huge thumbs up. Smash the subscribe button. See you all next video.